All right. Good morning, everybody. My name's Scott Pittman. I'm the Vice President of Pinnacle Infotech. I'm going to go through a few things here and show you some of, first of all, a little bit about Pinnacle, what we do. We're a full outsourced BIM company. We do work with engineers, architects, GCs, subcontractors all around the world. And then I'm going to show you a few sample projects that we've done. Some of them you may know, some of them you may not. There has been some scrubbing done on some of these documents just so you guys can see them. But if you have any questions, stop me along the way so we can answer them as we go. Again, the disclaimer, we've scrubbed some of the documents so they're able to be shared with people. No sharing of them from this point forward. The outline of this is to show some technology. What we do with BIM. I was asked by the CAN BIM group to make it more on the training side, so we're going to share some of the things that different softwares that we use. It's not just AutoCAD all the time. The different add-ons that we use, the different groups and things that we do as well, and the different people that we do work with. One of the big part of this presentation is going to be modularization, prefab, that type of stuff that we do. Again, we work with multiple types of contractors, from concrete, mechanical, electrical, fire protection. You'll see all those samples in this presentation as well. Again, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Pinnacle up front. We're a full-service outsourcing firm. We work around the world. We have the company's been in business for over 30 years. We've been in North America for over 22 years. We currently have offices in Houston, London, Italy, Dubai, Switzerland, and 3 production facilities in India. We are an India-based company. We currently have, these are showing the facilities. The 3 production facilities, currently we're about 1,500 people in-house. We have the capability going all the way up to 3,500, so we are one of the larger outsourcing firms in the industry. This is one of our production staff from our Dugapur office. This was taken last year. We actually take our clients to India as well, let them see the production staff. We want to make sure everybody knows we're not a sweatshop. We're a company that is very sought after, a very great company to work for. This is just the Dugapur office. We have another group about this size in our Jaipur office as well. Types of projects, it really doesn't matter to us. We can do very large projects all the way down to single-family home builders. These are just a few samples of hospitals, high-rises, multifamily, you name it. BIM has become such a big part of construction that the type of project really doesn't matter. Overseas, we do some very large projects as well. This is the Kingdom Tower. It's going to be the world's tallest building. It's 265 floors, 3/4 of a mile high, or 1,000 meters. The stadium in Qatar, I'll show you more on this. We actually designed this project 3 times. The first time we drew it, the games were going to be in August and July. It's 114 degrees over there in August and July, so they don't really want to have an open concept. So they moved the games to November, December, and we actually did a whole design of this to be modular. It was all components that were able to be tore down, shipped over to Canada after these games are completed, because the next World Cup is going to be in Canada and US after that. So that concept was done. It's not what they went with. This will actually be turned into multifamily homes after the games are done. So it's not just another Olympic venue or something that gets built and wasted. So I'll show you some things on that moving forward. Pretty interesting. Again, what products do we use? The products really don't matter to us. It's what our clients want us to use. Here's a great group of AutoCAD, Autodesk products. A lot of people are very familiar with Navisworks, AutoCAD, Revit, those types of things. Very, very familiar. But these are some of the different ones that we work with that maybe some people don't know as much. Siskiyou, Unify, Evolve, Rhino, Bentley, MicroStation, Tekla. These are all different add-ons or different softwares that we can use to meet the client's expectations. So when you're looking at a software, Revit, AutoCAD, again, they're great softwares, but there is a lot more out there. So just make sure you guys are getting what works for you and what's the best fit. As far as file sharing goes, since we are halfway around the world from most of our clients, we do Dropbox, SharePoint, Newforma, Amazon Server. There's a lot of different servers out there, a lot of different ways to share files. Again, Dropbox is probably number one. Most of our clients are comfortable with it. It's easy. Procore has some different options. We also use that on a lot of projects. So if you see them out there, make sure, again, that they're a good fit for you. So, prefab. Prefabrication modularization is huge in the Middle East. We do a ton of this work, and a lot of these samples you're going to see are from the Middle East region that we do a lot of work. Housing components, where these are built off-site and shipped to a construction site, assembled very quickly, very easily. The big thing we're going to do with these is we're going to save cost, we're going to reduce the schedule, higher quality because most of these are built in controlled conditions rather than out in the mud and the snow. The stoppages is less because the construction is done while it's in the construction in the warehouse in controlled conditions. Less waste, improved performance. We put together a few charts and to show where the savings really is. And the biggest savings is we're able to do the site development, get the foundations going, as well as start building the components. Where in the traditional, we have to wait for the site conditions to be done and then move on. By doing this, we're saving 30 to 50% of the time alone just to get these projects done. This is where the benefits of the modularization comes in. Some of the numbers that we've got, and these were given to us by McGraw-Hill, 37% of the projects that were done actually decreased by 4 or more weeks. That's a huge number. The waste, 15% or 13% actually decreased by 15% on the waste. I don't know what happened on those 2% over there. It's kind of unbelievable, but 2% actually increased. But as you see, even all the way down to the biggest group is 32% of the projects that saved at least 1 to 5%, which on a multi-million-dollar project, that's huge. Assembly line, we always talk about the low-hanging fruit. What we want to do is find the areas that we can do prefab. What can we pre-assemble the easiest? Stairways. I'll show you some samples of some precast panels, things like this. Bathroom groups. Mechanical systems are beginning to become very, very unique with ideas and ways of prefabbing their work. They're doing the field welds basically in the shop, and then when the pipe comes out to the field, it's got a flange on each end. They bolt it up, and away they go. It's great. Again, the level of manpower that they have in the field and the education level of the manpower that's in the field is actually dropping. So the more that we can do in the shop and in the get this stuff prepared early, make it easier for those field guys, the better the final product's going to be. Now, when does prefab and modularization make sense? Obviously, fast-track projects, hotels, dormitories, if you have site constraints, those types of things. Does prefab work on every single project? No, it doesn't. You have a lot of renovation type work. And I'll show you some ways to get around that. But in the past, doing CAD and prefab on pre-existing buildings, it just didn't work. What they've gone to now is scan to BIM. So they're going out, they're doing scans, they're building the 3D models from these point clouds, and then we're able to actually provide a product from modularization, BIM, CAD, that actually works. In the past, I did a renovation of a train station in Colorado. I went over enough on my budget. I probably could have bought 5 scanners by the time that project was over. The owner of the company actually went out and bought 3 scanners after that project was over. We kept telling them, you need to get some scanners. Let's go down there and scan this basement area. And by the time the project was done, we definitely should have done that. This just, again, just some different areas of reasons to, benefits of doing BIM, when to get it started. The earlier you can get this into construction, into the BIM, into your CAD departments, the better. It helps identify the levels. What do you want to do with the model when it's done? Are you going to do prefab? Are you going to do continuous, LOD levels, LOD 500, where you want facility management added on at the end? There's so much that you can do with these models. We have clients now that have 30-year warranties on buildings. In the past, CAD was a design software. Then it moved into the fabrication software. Now it's a facilities management software as well. So these people can go in, click on a pump, click on a valve, click on a VAV box. It pulls up all the submittal information. It pulls up the maintenance information on that stuff. So it's not just a pretty model anymore. It's not just for design. The lifespan of these models live on for quite some time. Oops. This just kind of shows some different levels, when you want to start, what you want to be doing. In the pre-construction phase, you want to get that virtual model built. During construction, the components, and then post-construction. Again, laser scanning is not something that you just do at the end of the job or at the beginning of the job when you're trying to build it. You also do it at the end for the as-builts. Becoming very popular. The LOD 500 model, facilities management, like I mentioned there. Scan to BIM. Scan to BIM is becoming more and more popular. The scanners that they have these days are unbelievable. 3-4 years ago, we used to talk about hundreds of thousands of points, where the scanners that they have these days are billions of points. You can actually go into a room and be very detailed. You can actually pick up the writing on pipe. It's unbelievable the level of the scans that you can get these days. And then we're able to take that and not just architectural, but we're doing also the MEP elements as well. This is an example of an existing building. In the past, probably not the greatest thing to go in and do prefab on. These are actually point clouds that we've created, and these are the models that were created from them. In the past, like I said, it's not something that would have been able to be done. The accuracy wouldn't have been as good as it is now with these accurate models. But these point clouds can get down to the half-inch, quarter-inch. It's amazing how accurate they actually are. This is one of the newer scanners. This is actually a scan. This is not a photo. That's a scan of a room. So you can see how accurate these scans are. And then our team was able to take this scan and actually put it into a Revit model and say if this component, this chiller, this heat exchanger, if this stuff was coming out, we were able to pull that information out, put the new stuff in, and makes shutdown times a lot quicker, turnaround times very, very accurate. We've got cable trays, there's so much in here, and they'd be able to fish a new system through there. In the past, it would have just been stovepipe. You'd have guys in the field cutting pipe, trying to fit it to make it work. Precast. So this is another big part of the future of things. Is the precast, the concrete. It could be tilt up, it could be precast, it can be cast in place. Any of that can be done with 3D modeling. This is an example of a project. All of these are actual spool sheets or fab drawings. They get put together in this is just presentation mode. But they go into a sheet like this that actually gets sent out to the precasters. This could be a tilt-up. This could be whichever type project. They're able to fabricate these in their factories, and I've got a picture of the factory. This is one of the groups that we work with. So these plates are actually the tables that they do the precast on. All that information is sent out. They actually use total station. They use different measuring eyes from our sheets that we give them, and they download directly to their concrete plates. This is the same company, but they're doing columns here, piers, beams, but it's all the precast, preformed concrete. This is a tilt-up sample. Same thing. They're built from the same type of sheets that we do. Then we actually give them an organization chart of how it's going to go in, how they need to be placed. And this is some of the stuff that's been completed. You've got the precast over there. This is was pre-built off-site and actually brought in place. This is actually a modular unit with all the brick already on place. This was at Yale University for some room and board areas. With concrete is rebar. We actually do model rebar. So we are able to model rebar down to the point where they export the files out to their bending machines, their cutting machines, and they can create these prefab cages, models, and even something as unique as the one over there. They give very detailed reports. We can give them tonnage of rebar, size of rebar. So when they're ordering their material for these projects, they can be very accurate, and there's not a lot of waste. This is a video sample. We do a lot of these as well. This could be either a blue beam sample or 3ds Max, different things like that we do. But this just kind of gives a visualization to the owners of the project. They want to know, how's their project going to be done? What's the plan to get something done like this? We've also done it where we put the timeline on the bottom so they can actually identify a timeline associated with tasks that need to be done. I like to call it the DIY. Everybody says, they see it on TV. I want to fly through my house. I want to see everything. It's okay. We know what you're talking about. These are actually 100% prefab, basically cities or towns or subdivisions. All of the houses, all the buildings, everything you see was built off-site and shipped to those locations. So this is something that's very real. It's not something it's a pipe dream. These are actual projects, actual real case scenarios where it has been done and it does work. Mechanical systems. Same thing. You start getting these big racks. You start getting all the trades from electrical, fire protection, mechanical on board, and you start putting them together, planning these situations where multiple trades, multiple deliveries. The biggest thing with doing a project like this is you have to get everybody on board. I did a very large cheese factory, and the general contractor got to the point where he was getting very upset because he didn't see anything happening on the job site. We kept telling him, come to the shop, come and look and see what we're doing. And he said, nope, if you don't have something out here in 3 weeks, you guys are fired. And because all he saw was 3 or 4 guys on the job site putting up hangers. And it was like, you guys aren't doing anything. And 3 weeks later, semis start rolling in. And then we get the warning saying, hey, you guys need to stop. You're burying everybody. And it's like, well, 3 weeks ago, you were going to fire us. That general contractor is 100% prefab now. He gets it. He sees what we did. And maybe we didn't relay the information to him what the plan was on our side. We had a good plan. We just didn't relay it to the general contractor. So make sure everybody is on the same page when you start doing this. This is one of the companies that we work with. These are all just prefab racks, and then they will be moved over, and you'll see all the ductwork starts getting added, the electrical's on board. Overseas, MEP contractors do everything. So if you have one MEP contractor, it does sheet metal, plumbing, piping, electrical. So it makes it a little bit easier to do these prefab racks, where in North America, we're more spread out. So we'll have a plumbing contractor, we'll have a piping contractor, we'll have a sheet metal contractor. And it makes it a little bit more difficult getting everybody on board to do these types of projects. But if you can get everybody on board, it works. And it's something that's very valuable. You get them in hospitals or airports, or these large projects that have these huge corridors with a ton of stuff in these corridors. Doing these off-site, you can actually build them all the way up where you have drywall and the studs already done too. It just goes up and it's done. Very beneficial. So these are the big parts of, before you start to do modularization, identify, again, is it a good project for prefab? Who's going to be involved? Is it going to be all the trades? Is it going to be just you? Or you got to make a smaller rack? Or is it going to be something that you can include everybody on? And then you have to figure a plan to build this. The project that the cheese factory that we actually did, it was a non-union and union project. So we had to find a different location for the racks to be built. They couldn't be built at the union shop. They couldn't be built at the non-union shop. So we actually found a non-disclosed location where both sides could come in, put their stuff into it, and then we could go out. So there's different ways of working around things. So you just have to be kind of creative at times. And then delivery. This delivery, we actually had to reroute some trucks to a different location, or the location that we found to put everything together actually worked better because we didn't have to go under a big bridge. And with some of these pre-manufactured racks, they were very tall and they wouldn't fit through certain areas that we would have to reroute, and the cost of shipping was very high. So that was another reason for the different location as well. Pre-manufacturing the sheet metal side of things. This is just for the people that have never seen a CNC machine, how it actually works. I do have a video that I'll show you here in a minute. These are some of the racks that we're mentioning. So you have a rack like this, logistics and site logistics, things like that's very important. How's it going to get on site? How's it going to get in the building? If you have a rack that's 40 foot long and you've got a 90-degree turn that they have to go around, you got to look at that kind of stuff. You really got to plan it to make sure it works. High-rise buildings. Again, racking is a great idea as long as you get it in the building. If you have a GC or a crane factory or company that's not willing to work with you, you really got to make sure that all this is discussed before the projects are done. Again, just some different snapshots of some prefab installed in the building. And then this is actually a coil line machine. I just thought it might be interested for the people that don't know the sheet metal side of things. All the information is taken from the CAD model that we've created. It's downloaded on an MAJ file. It goes directly to these coil lines. Coil has a big spool of sheet metal on the end, and it goes through and is fed, and it automatically tells it what size the duct is. This is actually a half of a duct, so you get the L, and then it'll build the other side, and then they'll go together. These machines can also put the insulation on. They can pin the insulation. So when we're doing modeling, we want to make sure that we use as many of these full joints. The full joints saves money. Anything if this is a 60-inch coil, and that happens to be, so that's a S and drive connection, so that's going to be a 59-inch piece of ductwork. If it's a 58 3/4 inch, that's a fitting. That fitting has to go a whole separate route. It has to go through the tables, and it costs so much more that your linear feet of work built per day off this coil line compared to a fitting is unbelievable. So that's one thing that when we're doing the modeling that we want to make sure that we eliminate fittings, make sure that we're using as much straight duct as possible. Plan, produce, and commission. These are just a couple of different projects that we have done. And again, showing more of the modular stuff. The the pods. These things are becoming more and more popular with the stadium type projects and the pre-manufactured modular concept, where you have, we basically have created families for these different types of containers. And these containers can be anything. You can mix and match containers. Maybe you need an open top container that's going to stack on top of this flat container. There's a lot of different options, and when it comes to container building, it is becoming more and more popular. A lot of storage units are starting to use these things where they actually weld them all together and they become storage units. They can be pods. They can be electrical groups, water stations. We did a lot of these water pump stations that got shipped to Africa to help clean up water. It was all done in-house. They ship them over, they set them down, they hook up power to them, and it actually has all this filtration stuff inside. It was pretty cool. It's great options for future type projects, housing. This is the stadium. So I want to show you this. Like I said, this is the second version of this stadium that the plan was to be 100% modular, so they could actually take it apart once the games were done and ship it to Canada and the US once the games were over. So all of these components inside here are all modular. That could be cafeterias, restrooms, club seating, anything. And I'll show you some different samples of some of what those actually look like on the inside. So we did some designs on those as well. And that's just the steel skeleton itself. The final design looks somewhat like that, just not as boxy on the outside. It's more of almost like a bowl. Is what it looks like. So these are some of the plans that we actually did for the stadium. Again, bathroom groups, restrooms, stairways. Again, all containers. Dressing rooms, suites. And again, from the inside looking out, you can't really even tell that it's a container. It's actually a very, very high-end finishes that actually went into this plan. Hospitality boxes. Again, more stairways. Interview sections. And this is one of the last things I got for you guys. This is a case study. This is actually the National Museum of Qatar. This building was designed on what they call the Desert Rose. The Desert Rose is a very unique shape. I mean, there is nothing straight. There's not one level panel on it, I believe. This project was 5 stories. We had over 150,000 files for this project. Each panel, I think there was 80,000 panels that were poured, all concrete panels, to complete this project. Again, without BIM, we had the owner and the general contractor for this project was actually at AU with us last year and did a presentation just on this project alone and said that if it wasn't for AutoCAD and BIM, there was no way that a project like this would have even happened. So it's pretty unique. It's a great thing to be involved with. And then again, the challenges. Typically 100% modularization on each project is not possible. You can't do 100% of everything, but you want to find what you can utilize, how you can use it. Do as much as you possibly can. Look for different design options. Save money where you can. Geographic location. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Increase in demand. The speed of construction these days is becoming unbelievable. And without tools like these, CAD, BIM, any of those types of things, and it's when you guys have a CAN BIM event like this, it's a great opportunity for you guys not only to see new opportunities, the vendors up there that have great tools. It's always a great opportunity to see what's going on out there. And that's it. So I want to thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, I do have cards up here. If you'd like any information or anything like that, I can definitely get that to you. And thanks for your time.